This is Rama Jammas. You can't step foot into this restaurant without recognizing all of the glory that is the Alabama Crimson Tide. From the food, to former Crimson Tide players and coaches, to even the taste of the town sign hanging above the door, Rama Jammas is definitely the heartbeat of the University of Alabama. And not only is it the heartbeat of the University of Alabama, it is the venue for 15 and counting. It doesn't matter if you want a burger, fries, Coke, hot dogs, pancakes, or waffles, you come right here to Rama Jammas, the heartbeat of Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Welcome to Rama Jammas, private city.
They are definitely the private city, and most importantly, they are the new home of the new hit show, the Touchdown Alabama magazine, 15 and counting, which starts, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Welcome to 15 and counting, Touchdown Alabama magazine's premier football show, coming to you live from the heartbeat of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, right here at Rama Jammas. I'm your host, Stephen M. Smith, and beside me I have my co-hosts, Ivan White and Maxwell Taylor. Fellas, how you guys doing today?
Awesome. Good.
Well, fellas, this is the week that fans have been talking about. This is the game that everybody's been anticipating all week long. It's Alabama, it's Texas A&M, it's Kevin Sumlin versus Coach Saban, it's A.J. McCarron versus Johnny Manziel, it's Alabama, Texas A&M. Getting ready to roll from College Station. This is the week right here, guys.
Right here.
This is the week right here. Hype surrounding this game. Of course, last season, Texas A&M came to Bryant-Denny Stadium and a 129-24 little statistic there on Johnny Manziel. Manziel totaled 345 yards of total offense and had 2 touchdowns. A.J. McCarron and Matai, a valiant effort to come back, but just came a 5-point short of the victory. But this right here being the rematch, which is set to take place this Saturday, September the 14th, 2013, in College Station, Kyle Field, home of the 12th man. And starting off with you, Ivan, it's Alabama and A&M. What do you see right now in this game?
I see probably an early candidate for probably game of the year so far. Everybody's been waiting for this game ever since last year. It's been dubbed the revenge game, the redemption game, Johnny Football versus Alabama. I've seen so many times this week in the pre-games. It's just one of those games that you have to sit down and watch, no matter if you're an SEC fan or if you're, no matter what conference you root for. You should have to watch this game this weekend.
Max, what's your take on this?
It's definitely, in my view, one of the earliest, biggest games of the year. I still think Clemson and Georgia was a little bit bigger than this, but of course the revenge factor is a factor in this game, and you know, Nick Saban doesn't really lose revenge games unless you count 2010 at LSU, but then you can always say that they won the national championship in the Superdome in Louisiana, so that's always a good consolation prize. But it's a very hyped up game, very enthusiastic game. You see a lot of passion from all the players on the field.
Sure, it's definitely a high passion from the players, Maxwell. It's funny you two both mentioned this being a revenge game. Alabama wide receiver Amari Cooper stated that it's not a revenge game to us being the Alabama Crimson Tide, because if it were so, we would have played better last season. So, do you guys really think it's a revenge game?
Somewhat, it can be a revenge game, but really, whoever's got Alabama ended up having the last lap at the end of the season because they're the team that won the national title. Obviously, A&M won the Cotton Bowl and beat Oklahoma, but it's still. It's not a revenge game as much as a game to say, hey, y'all got us one time, we're not going to let this happen again. And all the Alabama players, as we have been saying, it's not more revenge, it's more paying up to the Alabama Crimson Tide way. That's what they want to play this week. They want to play more like the Crimson Tide normally do throughout the year.
Now, you two can believe that if you want. In my mind, this is a complete and total revenge game. Last season, Crimson Tide won their 15th national championship. And they did so by beating a lot of big opponents. But that one big opponent that we did not beat was Texas A&M. And not only did we lose to them in a championship season, we lost to them at home in Tuscaloosa, in Bryant Denny Stadium right there. So if you don't believe that this is a revenge game to happen in Texas A&M at the 12th man, you're crazy. This is a huge revenge game.
You're calling him crazy, Maxwell?
I'm calling him crazy. I don't care what Nick Saban says in his interviews or in his post conferences. He had this game showing while the players were working out in the spring. Now this was right after we won the national championship. This is where I truly started to believe in that 24-hour system that Nick Saban has with games. Now they're going to look at this game and they're going to move on after it. But I think this game is probably one of the really first Alabama games that they've really worked all season and all offseason to prepare for.
I really agree with both of you guys that you mentioned on that segment. But going back to Coach Saban has been known to say that it's all about the process. And most importantly, he's mentioned to people that it's not all about last year's team, it's about what we have this year. Many people haven't really seen the team this year with a new offensive line. They're trying to focus on their identity, being the Alabama Crimson Tide. So with this being said, what can fans look for in this Alabama team going into Kyle Field this weekend?
Well, of all the people who saw the Virginia Tech game and saw the whole display that the O-line really had that game, they're going to see a much different and much more gelled unit this week. In my belief, I think the O-line will come out and play from the beginning of the snap for the first time the whistle is called. Now, last week we had a lot of blown coverages from running backs, especially from Derrick Henry and some of the newer freshman running backs, but I don't think that we'll see that this year. I think that we'll have a lot less complicated play calling, a lot more run the ball, up the throat, keep Johnny Manziel off the field as fast as they can, and try to put up points in probably a slower fashion than what Johnny Manziel's used to, but definitely the perfect fashion that the Alabama Crimson Tide are used to.
Well, going back to the offensive line, which you mentioned, Maxwell, Ivan, who is one player on this Alabama offensive line that you really want to see step up and take control and be the leader of this line heading to Kyle Field?
Said this 2 weeks ago. Cyrus Quanjo. Can't have holding calls, buddy. You gotta step up. You're a returning starter. You have to make sure that you step up in this game. You can solidify yourself as the leader of this offensive line. And going back to what Maxwell said, though, this year's Alabama team, they will do what they always do, but it's kind of funny. Leave it to Crimson Tide and Crimson Tide Nation to be disappointed in the 35-10 win. I mean, it just says on what kind of program we have over here in Tuscaloosa. I mean, 35-10, most fan bases will take that any day of the week.
They will go a party.
And we're over here saying, improve more. We don't expect this from y'all. And I mean, it just says to Saban's coaching in all the stuff we've had to go through since 2008. All the fortunate things that have happened in the program,
Especially in recruiting.
and everything. We've got a lot more recruits out of Louisiana than we've had in a while. So I mean, it's just everything's lining up right. So I feel like that's going to add up in the game as well this week too.
Well, guys, let's get into the full dynamics of this game right here. It's Alabama, it's A&M, in Kyle Field this upcoming Saturday. And the first dynamic I want to get into is the Alabama offensive line. The question for them is, can they reestablish themselves this week? In the game against Virginia Tech, Alabama totaled just 216 yards of offense. Last season, Bama totaled 440 yards of offense a game. TJ Yeldon against Virginia Tech only had 74 yards rushing. Against Michigan last season, he had 101 yards in the first game against the Wolverines. Now in this game, against Virginia Tech, knowing that you do have Doug Nussmeier as your offensive coordinator from the Big 12 who loves to air the ball out, do they come out throwing with AJ, or will Doug Nussmeier and offensive line coach Mario Cristobal trust the line to assert their will, move the Aggies off the ball, and run TJ Yeldon?
Well, I think first and foremost, we're going to go with the ground and pound game. Doug Nussmeier will take shots on first and second down through the air, but I think his main concern, and I think the main concern of the team as a whole, is keeping Johnny Manziel off the field. Look, that man is a very, very, very efficient passer and dynamic playmaker. He's 15th in the NCAA this year already for passing yards.
He's a top 20 already?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And he's only played 1.5 games. Yes, those teams are Sam Houston State and Rice, but tell me, does any other person in this room or probably at this university can do that right now?
Very, very few, Ivan.
I mean, yes, again, like Steve, it's Sam Houston State and Rice. Those are relevant, well, somewhat relevant teams, but obviously, I think we're just going to run the ball most of the time. I mean, it's a statement game, and in a statement game, you make smaller statements throughout the entire game. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if the first 3 plays we run the ball. Run, and just make a statement saying, hey, we trust you, we trust the Quandro brothers and Ryan Kelly and the rest of the offensive line, and say, hey, you got us here last year. That was a different squad, but yes, the offensive line did carry the team last year.
True.
So we're going to trust y'all this year as well as in previous years to guide us to where we need to be.
So let me play devil's advocate.
Oh, here we go.
Okay? So say that we do come out with this passing attack. I mean, we do have the weapons on the offense side and at skill positions to go out and do these type of things. And A.J. McCarron is a very, achieved and a capable passer, and he's achieved in a lot, his past 4 years, 5 right now, years at the capstone. Now, do we go out and make a statement saying, hey, we're going to go out and throw the ball this game?
Well, that leads into the second dynamic we have here, Maxwell. You remember last season when Manziel came to Alabama and put up some pretty good passing statistics here in McCarron's backyard here, Brian did it. The question for McCarron will be, can he go to Cal here to return the favor? That is the question.
Obviously, he did that last year somewhat at LSU. I mean, he didn't play good from the last 2 minutes of the first half to the last 2 minutes of the second half. Those are AJ's moments. The middle of the game, maybe from the start of the second half to about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, that was not good. But obviously, he showed last year. That was the game where we finally saw, yes, AJ, not the running backs, not the receiver. AJ made that play, made the passes, made the drive at the last second to win the game. And that, I think, that just helped him out so much. Even in his first time AJ started, it was at Penn State. It was between him and Phillip Sims. And everybody said we should go with Sims, but no. Saban put trust in AJ for that reason, because he knew he had what it takes to get the job done on the road.
And being that McCarron is a senior this year going against Jerry Manziel, a sophomore, Maxwell, people say it's not a quarterback battle, it's not always about AJ, but when you're a quarterback at the University of Alabama, when you're a quarterback in the SEC, there's a lot on your plate, period. So what must AJ do in this game to keep his head focused and come out and really show that I'm a quarterback, I'm a leader, and don't forget, I'm a BCS champion?
Well, first and foremost, he must go out and do what I like to say, he has to communicate better. Really better from the line of scrimmage, from the end of the play to the beginning of the play. And I know that sounds kind of weird. He has to go out and make the play call, but also communicate with his line as a leader should. That's what kind of infuriated me a little bit with the Virginia Tech. It looked like he was in control, but there were pieces who just didn't buy in the system. All of that run with Derrick Henry in the third quarter, it just looked like he did not know where he was going. Maybe the O-line clogged up all the holes and everything, but it just looked like some of the younger players just did not know what they were doing. And that's very un-Alabama-esque. And I think we should always think about that. We do have a lot of youth on this team, even though we have a very strong veteran core. We have a lot of youth on this team that needs to have time to develop. And I think that first game was really that development period, but maybe some of them still just don't know what to do. So AJ has to be a better communicator and say, this is your pass block. I'm not going to point it to you, but I'm going to put it in your face so that you know it, that you sleep with it, that you know exactly where you're going, and that you can protect the ball, yourself, and me when any given point that it happens.
Last season, Alabama had Barry Jones as the center. Barry Jones, highly intelligent individual, graduated early, got a master's degree, one of the key college leaders on the offensive line. He kind of mentored AJ a bit. Now that Ryan Kelly is playing center in his second game, young, youth, highly potential with youth, what can McCarron do to kind of guide Ryan Kelly? He comes from a center position and trying to help protect AJ and block downfield. What can AJ do as a leader to help Ryan Kelly?
I mean, they just need to develop the same type of relationship him and Barrett had in previous years. I mean, obviously, like we saw in the national title game last year, when AJ and Barrett had a little disagreement near the end of the title game last year, obviously they went to the sidelines, they talked it out, and they got everything situated. That's the kind of relationship they need to have. They need to be able to have constructive criticism between each other. And I think if you can have that between a quarterback and a center, everything should be okay.
Everything should be okay now, Island. The next topic here for this game is obviously the receiving core for Alabama. Against Virginia Tech, not many catches for him. Amari Cooper maybe had 1-2 catches. Kenny Bell's targeted maybe 1 or 2 times. Did not see Kevin Norwood get targeted. Christian Jones had 1 catch for a touchdown, but he did most of his damage on the special teams aspect of the football. Alabama has a talented receiving core, and against the Texas A&M defense, who, by the way, has given them 59 points and 2 games combined, trouble for the Texas A&M Aggies. What must the Alabama receiving core do to get separation? They couldn't get it against a young Virginia Tech secondary. What can they do against the A&M secondary to get some separation, provide some cushion, and give McCarron, hey, I'm a target. Give McCarron a target to throw to.
Well, first off, you've got to use the size. You've got to see our size stats against the quarterbacks in Texas A&M. We are vastly bigger than them. And usually from tape, you can see that they're just a little bit faster. But to create space, really it all comes back to the offensive line. Really, there wasn't enough time for AJ to throw the ball or for the wide receivers to even break out into space to catch the ball last game.
I mean, you have to use the hype advantage, obviously, but attack their weaknesses. This is the first game where a majority of the Aggies defense will be starting. I mean, they were suspended for the Rice and Sam Houston State game, so now it's going to be the first game. I mean, what a welcome. Hey, guys, welcome back for this brand new season. We're throwing you out there for the #1 team in the nation right now, and probably the biggest game of our season, maybe one of the biggest games in program history. And you've got to attack the secondary also, but also run across the middle. Use the tight ends a little more. That linebacking core hasn't been there due to suspensions as well. You attack the center, I believe, and then you also have those out routes. You know, you can attack the sidelines, keep spread out.
Slants?
You can use slants, but watch out because we learned last year A&M can hit. They can hit. They do practice hit drills in practice, apparently. We saw it obviously right across the street at the stadium last year. But check the ball, use the receivers, use that high advantage, and don't be afraid to take that chance with the long ball. That's the main thing we have to do.
And that's one thing that A.J. McCarron has improved on from his first year starting in 2011 to now. His deep ball has very much improved. He can let it fly out there. But going back to A&M's defense here, like I said, A&M's defense has given them 59 points in the past 2 games. What can Alabama do offensively to keep their offense on the field and limit Manziel's time on the field, as Maxwell alluded to earlier?
Really nothing. The defense needs to go out and play their game. They understand that game. Kirby Smart keeps them ready and prepared for that type of game that they're going to be playing. Yes, they have been studying the up-tempo offense and the draws and the read. And, you know, my real thing, I think Kirby Smart has kind of already alluded to this. They're just going to go out there, stop the run, try to contain Manziel because you can't stop him.
He's going to score.
He's going to score, but got to limit his targets. So, I mean, the linebacker core, I think, will step up. And I think what the defense must do is start strong from the beginning. And that was really our Achilles heel last year. We were caught off guard in the first quarter, and Johnny Manziel put 20 points on us. That cannot happen at Texas A&M because we will not grab that lead back.
For also, encouraging Alabama, according to defensive coordinator Kirby Smart, will have linebacker C.J. Mosley as a spy in the game, looking out for Manziel if he tries to pull the ball down and run. With an experienced linebacker like C.J. Mosley, Ivan, with him being a spy, he may not be able to drop back in coverage or not, but how big is his job? He's spying on Manziel.
I mean, he's the literally the eyes and ears of defense. He's got to make sure. That's the one guy that tore us up last year. I mean, yes, Ryan Swope did a good job, but he only got open because Manziel extended the plays. It seemed like for 15 to 20 more seconds because the play needed to go on. Obviously, in Manziel's Heisman moment last year, that's what happened. But I mean, he just has to make sure he's solidified himself obviously as a leader because they chose him for this specific reason. They knew he could do it. So I mean, if he does his job, it shouldn't be easy. But also going back to what Maxwell said, Alabama's train of thought in this game should not be, let's limit Manziel's on-field action. Let's do what we do, and if he does what he does, we should still be able to win, because Alabama historically has never been beat just by one man. Last year, across the street at the game in A&M, it took a team effort. Their defense stepped up. AJ threw his first game with multiple interceptions last season. In that game, it takes more than one person to step up and beat the game. I believe the A&M defense will be looking like us in the Virginia Tech game. A little rusty for offensive line, actually, not our defense. Their defense was very good in that game. They will look a little rusty. I feel like you have to make sure that rust stays on there for a majority of the game. Make sure you don't give them time to recover and think, oh, this is how we can do adjustments and stuff like that. Keep them on their heels that game.
Keep on their heels that game. Going back to Texas A&M, the Texas A&M Aggies will be without two key calls in that team from last season. They will be without Luke Joker, who very much protected Johnny Manziel's backside all last season. And also they'll be without Ryan Swope, leading receiver of the team. So most likely will be on Mike Evans to really pick up with Ryan Swope left off in regards to Texas A&M. But since we're on here, let's talk about Johnny right here. How does Alabama go about handling Johnny? Does Kirby Smart blitz, or does he play complex coverage to try to see, can Manziel read the zones? Can he read wherever throw the football? Do you come up, do you blitz corner, do you blitz linebackers, do you get the front four with Hubbard and Ed Stinson to try to pressure up front, or do you play off and put coverage out there and make Manziel read it?
I mean, I believe you should just send the base in front door. Last year, the coaching staff admitted we changed to a 3-4 defense for that game specifically to watch Johnny to have more spies on him, which turned out to be the downfall because we gave him extremely too much time to throw the ball. You have to trust your front four. That's where it starts. Trust factor. That goes back to the same thing with Ryan Kelly and AJ. Trust your teammates and they will get the job done.
Right, and on the defensive end of the ball, I think our front four this year is a little bit more improved than last year than Damian Square. And you got Jeffrey Pagan back. You don't have Square. You don't have
Jesse Williams.
But you have more of a, I don't want to say pass rushing, I would say more of a force. You have to stop them. They're not always going to break through the offensive line, but you have to stop them. You have to put the bodies up there, or they will make plays happen. This front four, I'm really excited to see what they will do on Saturday, because they seem to be able to have the ability to make the plays on the defensive side of the ball.
They really do. Going back to what Kirby Smart mentioned a couple of weeks ago, if Adrian Hubbard ever gets the idea that he is a pass rusher, oh my, he can be something special. He can be something special. A Brandon Ivory filling in for Jesse Williams. You mentioned Jeffrey Pagan, C.J. Mosley, Trey DePriest. The guys in the defense can make plays. And I think the defensive line, their main thing is just containment outside. Just force the play back in, allow the linebacker with speed, with quickness, that can truly hit hard to come in and make the tackle. Just contain Manziel in the pocket, contain the running game to a certain extent. You don't have to blitz a lot, but if you do, disguise it with some good coverage to make Manziel think, where do I go to with this football?
And also, Dion Blue, please step up.
Oh my, we're running Dion Blue
I
there?
actually had to put that in there last minute. Dear gosh. Please, you cannot have another Virginia Tech.
Come on, man.
You cannot have another Virginia Tech game. Mike Evans will destroy you on the. He's the guy that can finish those routes. He got lucky the last game. I just wanted to make sure I point that out before.
Also, good news for Alabama secondary. Geno Smith is back. So, along with you'll have Landon Collins, Geno Smith, Ha Clint Dix, Vincent Seri. Basically, the whole core is back in full swing. You had something to mention there, Maxwell?
Do I have something to mention? No, I'm just saying Geno Smith is back.
Maxwell said that Geno Smith is definitely back in uniform. But like I mentioned, this is a huge game for the Texas A&M program. They're not going against Sam Houston State or Rise. They are going against the #1 Alabama Crimson Tide. As Maxwell mentioned, Nick Saban does not lose too many rematch games twice, unless you count, yes, the LSU game. But one of the questions concerning this game right here, a lot of people are saying that you have to make Johnny Manziel have a quiet game in order to win. That being that he kind of has evolved into the face of college football, so to speak. But does it have to be a quiet game that the force for Manziel?
I really don't understand the name for quiet. But he's going to have less rushing yards and still have the same amount of touchdowns. He's going to have more touchdowns but less rushing yards, or is he just not going to make any of those plays? You can't have that mindset going into a game with a player as dynamic as Johnny Manziel. He's going to make these plays. It's going to happen. Now, the only way to, I guess, limit him that we've been saying is to just make sure that he doesn't beat you in the secondary. He doesn't beat you at the line of scrimmage with his feet.
And the linebacker core.
And at the linebacker. You just make sure that he doesn't beat you. You hit it with the basics. You wrap him up. He's elusive. He's not fast. He's elusive. You wrap him up. That is how you stop Johnny Manziel, I guess. That's how people want to say it. It's not that easy because he has such great elusiveness, such great footwork, and can really throw the football off his back foot. But if he has the ball and he turns into the runner, I'm pretty sure Kirby Smart has told all of his defensive players to just wrap him up, and somebody will come and help you with the tackle.
I agree with that, but I'm interested to see one thing. Last week, Johnny Manziel did an interesting thing. He was running for the end zone, almost at the pylon. He decides, I'm going to try and run over this guy. I'm interested to see if Johnny takes that chance this week against the Alabama.
And try to chunk somebody else.
Maybe C.J. Moses. Let's see if that, or Geno, see if that works out this week. But you have to contain him, and if he does get loose, wrap him up like Maxwell said. Wrap him up, contain. If he does get on the open field, hold him. Maybe we can get an extra hit on him. Maybe
the ball pops out.
Yeah, obviously we're not hoping for injuries or anything like that. But obviously
he catches it for a touchdown.
Yeah. Just contain him. I mean, obviously in his Heisman moment, we have him contained for the most part. It's just a string of events that happened perfectly for the A&M Aggies on that play.
Which in turn had Ryan Swope in the back of the end zone, being sincere, like what in the world just happened?
Wide open.
But anyway, Earl Ivan White here is actually from Texas, and the fans down there at College Station, of course, you are very much familiar with College Station, the fan base down here, and how loyal they are to their Aggie team, they being the home of the 12th man. What must Alabama do to take the crowd again? Because crowd noise, teams feed off their home energy. Teams feed off that crowd, that passion, that excitement, that energy. What must Alabama do offensively or defensively from the first play to take the crowd out of the game?
Well, as you said, yes, I am from Texas. And actually, in a distinct coincidence, Mike Evans went to a rival high school, my high school back in Galveston. But I've had to hear it all summer long from the Aggie fans that they're going to show up at that game. They're not giving up any tickets for that game to any Alabama fans or alumni. They want to make sure that they're there. Last year in the stadium, I will admit, of all the road teams that showed up here, they were the loudest fans that showed up here. Even though we only gave them 6,000 tickets, they showed up here and made a lot of noise.
They came to play.
They came to play. You have to make sure that A&M plays such an exciting brand of football. I don't want to say we play a boring brand. We just play the old school way. And
we're textbook.
If you keep it textbook with the ground and pound, you can keep the crowd out of the game because they'll be like, all right, that's enough. Just stop them. Okay, they have to pass it this time. Oh, no, wait, they just ran it for the 8th consecutive time. You have to make sure that you keep them not disinterested, because it's the biggest game of the program's history. You just have to make sure you keep them mellowed out, and because that crowd is loud. I mean, I've told most of my friends that are in the $1 Million Band this week, be prepared, you will need your earplugs. That is a very loud and rambunctious stadium when it does get loud.
Now you can ride in those cowbells in Mississippi State over there in Starkville. But we're gonna play a little game here, guys, called Over and Under. Little game. You guys ready for it? Let's play. Let's go. Over or under. Johnny Manziel will total 400 yards of offense.
Under. This is not gonna happen. I guarantee you. I'll take this to the bank. This will not happen. Alabama and Saban will make sure that they contain him. He might have 250 yards, 300 yards passing, but he will not have over 100 yards on the ground.
Next one.
I'm going to go under. I really won't put it past Johnny Manziel to be able to throw 400 yards. This man is a Heisman winner. He's a sophomore, and I mean, he's already gathered so attention. He's very, very, very elusive and has that playability. But against this Alabama defense and the weight of this game that it has on not only his team, but our team as well, I just don't think he would make himself the only cog in this game. I feel like he would spread it out to his teammates because he just doesn't want all the focus to be on him. He wants to go and try to win this game. Give it to some other wide receivers. Give it to Ricky Seals-Jones. Give it to Mike Evans. Give it to the running back. Give it to different players. I think he's going to spread out his statistics. Yeah.
I'm going to go with under because of the fact that, as you guys have both mentioned, Coach Saban and defensive coordinator Kirby Smart has had their guys watching this tape over and over and over and over and over again in that weight room and that players facility. So I too will say under. Manziel will have a Manziel game, but he will not be of the 400-yard variety. Okay, question 2, over or under? A.J. McCarron will toss 3 touchdown passes in the game.
Say that's right. That's about right. I'm not going under nor over. He'll toss about 3. I see he can pass 3. I picture in the red zone when you think we're going to run it. I think that'll be the one time when we do a play action pass, maybe to the back corner, or maybe to the middle of the end zone, or maybe a back shoulder toss in the bar.
I really think 3, but I'll go under with 2. I think the running game is just going to be a little bit more prevalent than the passing game in this game, and I feel like T.J. Yeldon is going to have his come-out game. Virginia Tech, he had some good runs with the O-line that he had and with the really not that many good blocks really in that game. So he really hasn't had his coming out moment. With players like Todd Gurley are going out and saying that they're already Heisman candidates for the greatest games that they've already had already.
Obviously, he's in Georgia.
I'm not a Gurley fan. I'm just saying Todd Gurley is an awesome running back.
Todd Gurley,
which we can always agree on.
Todd Gurley truly is. You're saying he'll throw 3. You're saying under. I'm going with over. A.J. McCarron will have 4. I'm going to say A.J. will have 4 touchdown passes in this game. I think the receiving corps will go out and make a statement. I think Amari Cooper, Kenny Bell, Kevin Norwood, and the gang will go out. They will provide A.J. with a target to throw to. I think A.J. will have a fine aerial attack. I'm going to say 4. McCarron will have 4 touchdown passes.
You guys act like my 2 was like destructive.
Number 3, Alabama rushing attack will bounce back and will total 200 yards on the ground. Over or under?
That's totally over. I'm sorry, the rushing attack has always been the main centerpiece of the University of Alabama's football team. And pretty much since we're going into Texas A&M, the stadium that a man named by Coach Paul Bear Bryant used to play at and was at the coach.
Little trivia for you fans out there.
Little trivia. It's not trivia if you're from Alabama. But I think that they will go for at least 350, 400. I know that sounds ridiculous, but is it really ridiculous when Rice and Sam Houston State combined for 59 points against the Texas A&M defense? Even if they had 6 starters gone, or you're telling me you let Rice and Sam Houston State score 59 points on you, and you had, it's absolutely infuriating. I don't care what the recruiting is. Kevin Sumlin is way too good of a coach, and the defensive coordinator at Texas A&M is actually a very good defensive coordinator. So the fact that they gave up 59 points is a little bit baffling to me. Maybe when the starters come out, that it will even out, but it will not even out that quick, as people are saying.
One of the question marks for the Virginia Tech game might be actually the reason I'm going over is because T.J. Yeldon has solidified himself as the #1 running back. But the fact that we don't have a legitimate #2 and we're going to keep switching them out, I think that will help us because it'll keep A&M guessing like, okay, each running back has a different thing that they do best. And I feel like that's going to come to our advantage. I feel like that can actually be a stepping stone for the remainder of the season saying, we don't need a legitimate #2 back as we've had in the past. We can keep changing up the lineup. Maybe have instead of just a 2 back set like we've had with Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson and Yeldon and all of them. And we can have maybe a 3 back set or a 4 back set.
Keeping the guys guessing. I like that next one. I too. I'm going to go with over as well, but due to the fact that it's the offensive line that wants to make a statement. They were talked about critically, especially Ryan Kelly was talked about critically for their performance against Virginia Tech. So I'm going to go with over. I think the offensive line coach Mary Cristobal, they want to make a statement against Texas A&M on the road. I'm going to say over as well. Most likely, they'll get between 350 and probably 400 yards, or 350 on the ground. So I will go with over. Number 4, Texas A&M's defense will hold Alabama to 21 points. Under or over?
I'm keeping it right there. There's really nothing more than I can say about this defense is going to come and play. There are 6 starters that are returning, 4 who are coming back for this game and starting their seasons against the #1 team. Now, that might be a tall task to say, but I feel like this team is going to want it. They take pride in beating us last year. Their whole stadium renovations was from beating us last year. The whole reason they have as more people to fit in Bryant-Denny Stadium was from beating us last year. And what I think people are going to take away from this game is that Texas A&M isn't going to go all the way down, or that they're going to super regress. I think they're just going to have to build upon it. Remember, this is Kevin Sumlin's only his 2nd year, so he's just now starting to get his players inside that defensive court. And I really think that they will step up, but I do think Alabama will just step up that edge a little bit more.
Under over.
I'm going to go over. I mean, this is a game where you want to make a statement. In last year's game, A&M came out and made a statement. They scored more points than the majority of the teams that faced them.
It was a track meet last
Yes,
season.
lastly, I feel like Alabama's going to come out and say, you know what? You came and beat us on our home turf. We're going to come and embarrass you on our home turf. That will be an embarrassment this one. I'm still, even though last week I got it, or 2 weeks ago I got it wrong with Virginia Tech, I'm picking the 40s. This game I want to see, and I believe it will be in the 40s for Alabama. They will send a message this weekend.
You are jumping to the deep 40s, Rod. All right, so my prediction here, I'm going to say over as well, but I'm going to say over in the aspect of A.J. McCarron from the fact that Manziel came into Bryant-Denny last season and put on a show and took over. This is A.J.'s time. He'll be a senior quarterback, a leader. This is his time to go into Calfield and show that you guys put me as the 3rd team quarterback in the All-SEC. I'm going to show you what I can do. I'm a senior. Don't forget, I have championships to prove I'm a leader. I can't be qualified. I think McCarron will go out there and put on the show as well with his entire offensive staff. I think Alabama will go higher than 21 points. Our next question here will be number 5. As a whole offensively, Alabama will total 400 yards in this game, under or over.
That was the question. 400 yards. It's definitely over. I think it's going to be over for one reason, and one reason all. Nick Saban wants to get his money's worth. He's going to go down to Texas, and he's going to try, and he's probably going to be successful because he's been successful in the past, to really, really put a stamp on a game against an opponent and say, well, we beat you at home by this many. Because that's exactly what Kevin Sumlin can always say about us. Well, we came into your house and beat you by that many points. And they only beat us by what, 3 last year? 5 last year. 5. And they're as arrogant as they can be.
For those of you who love the nickel, 5.
I think Nick Saban wants to go into Texas A&M and get into the double digits with play. And to do that, he's going to have a good amount of play calling. So I'm going to go with over. I think they're going to come well to play, ready to play. They're going to be excited. It's a national game. It's the game of the week. College game day is going to be there. I mean, it's going to be a very, very charged game. A lot of intensity. Expect like a 550 yards game. That's where I'm going.
That's where he's going.
If I'm picking the game to be in the 40s, it better be over 400 yards. I mean, I can't say this enough. Statement. Maxwell said, and as Steven said earlier, I am from Texas. I had to listen to the smack talk the entire summer.
Did you have earplugs?
I wish I did. I wish I did. I had to listen to the smack talk all summer. They will not let anybody, any other university in the state of Texas, they put up flags saying, I remember one time I went to College Station to go visit a relative. They have flags of the score of last year's game in College Station.
So, this is like the this is like the VMAs for them.
Yeah, this is their show. They want to make sure, hey, we don't always get the publicity as other SEC teams do. We have the most talked about athlete in college football in Johnny Manziel. We are the most talked about.
He's a folktale character.
He's the most talked about, and the most talked about program throughout the entire summer. They want to make sure that they don't get embarrassed on their home turf. But I have a feeling that want not to be embarrassed will come back and turn into fear once you get down by a certain amount. I believe if they get down by 2 touchdowns, they will start going into fear mode.
So what you're trying to tell me is that they're going to have a Texas shot. That's pretty much what they're trying to do.
Yes.
I'm not a Texas fan. Actually, I am no longer. But
You doing the hook hard thing, Maxwell?
Tristan Thompson is the man. But I think I playing on what Ivan said. I think the big brother, little brother factor has always been a thing for Texas A&M, and really they're gonna try and make this game. They're the big brother right now. They're gonna puff their chests out, but they're not playing a rival. They're playing Texas. They're playing Alabama, not Texas. And not too many of their
Texas
fans,
Tech.
Not even Texas. Too many of their fans are taking this as a super rivalry game, not a like a Texas game. And really, I think they're trying to use this game to fill the void that is left from the A&M, fan base that is left from the Texas game. They really, really are trying to use this game to fill the void of the Red River.
That's very interesting, Maxwell. That's highly interesting. I'm also going to say over. I think Alabama will go over 400 yards of offense to make that statement, to be able to go out there and to prove that this is this year's team. You look at us now. You admire what we did in the past, but this is the present. You look at us right now. But we're going to get into our final predictions for this game before we go into some other SEC action that will occur on this weekend. Starting off with Maxwell Tanner predictions for Alabama and Texas A&M.
Well, this is a big game of the year, and we've been talking around here, and I know it sounds like we're trying to puff our chest out like we're Alabama and stuff like that, but no, big respects to Texas A&M. Everything that they've done in the past year is absolutely remarkable. I think they will build on it with Coach Sumner. But this game, it's Nick Saban's win game. He wants to get another championship. He wants to keep winning. He wants to keep pushing this dynasty forward.
And who doesn't want that?
Who will? Some people.
You can go down to Baton Rouge, I'm pretty sure.
They don't want that at all. But my score prediction is going to be 35-21. It's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a hard-fought game, but I feel like fourth quarter, that's when it's just gonna be go time, and there's gonna be a lot of quick play and a lot of mistakes. And mistakes is what's gonna end this game. And I give the Tide a 14-point favor.
Like I said, this game's going to be in the 40s, I believe, but it'll be 42-28 Alabama. I believe A&M will put up a good amount of points, but I have a feeling it's just near the second half after that starts. I feel like Alabama will kick it into a second gear when the second half starts. I feel like they're going to start. If they already hadn't sent a message before halftime, they will definitely send a message after halftime. 42-28 will be my final score.
You have 42-28. You have 35-21. I'm going to go Alabama 38-17. I'm going to say Texas A&M will score, but I think that Alabama, when they get up, they're going to ground and they're going to foul, they're going to gash. Texas A&M will be like this with their hands on their hips, breathing.
They don't have it.
They're going to Janae Clowney and be breathing heavily. So I'm going to go with Alabama 38-17 and their ability to send that statement. That's it from Texas A&M, Alabama.